Teenage vampire Rod Ferrell's lust for blood has just gone into overkill, beating Richard and Naoma Wendorf to death with a crowbar in such a savage frenzy that his right-hand man, Scott Anderson, was frozen in shocked disbelief.
And then Scott said, bro, you're covered from head to toe in blood.
And the band of fugitives heads toward New Orleans and Mardi Gras, taking an out-of-the-way route to try to elude a nationwide police manhunt. Rod tells our special correspondent Phil Chalmers, author of the Encyclopedia of Teen Killers, that after dumping the murder weapon and other evidence in the Mississippi River and taking off his bloody clothes at a gas station, the car full of wanted teens would actually be pulled over by police 5 times.
So how could you be stopped 5 times and not arrested?
They were expecting a teenage cult-leading psychopath. And instead, I was speaking to them with every courtesy.
When they are stopped for the 5th time, right after reaching New Orleans, they change their plans and drive on to Baton Rouge, where they figure they can keep a lower profile.
I figured I was a dead man, for real. Because I knew if at that point any of us got caught, it was going to be the electric chair. Or shot on sight, probably.
But Baton Rouge is exactly where their luck runs out. Rod's girlfriend Charity calls her family, who inform the police, who then in turn trace the number to a motel, where all 5 fugitives are arrested just 3 days after the murders.
Whatever delusions and fantasies I believed are over.
But Rod and Charity seem remarkably unconcerned in this surveillance video, showing them passionately making out in their holding cell before being extradited back to Florida amid a media frenzy.
It just struck me, I'm like, they're all here because of murder. They're just here for the ripe amusement, the entertainment that this murder's bringing people.
Rod confesses to murdering Richard and Naoma Wendorf on his own, performing like a circus act in the hope it would help his 4 followers go free.
And when I found out about the sensationalism, I was like, okay, it's working. They're looking at me and not these other people. They're not going to look at them as monsters, they're going to see me as the monster, and that'll help them.
But police would like to know who knew about the killings and when they knew it, interrogating all 4 of his so-called disciples.
Mommy, you guys questioned me. I didn't do anything.
Charity is still pining for Rod.
I just want to be separated from Rod. That's all that's wrong with me, is I don't want to be separated from Rod.
Detectives finally get Charity, also known as Shay, to admit she knew of the plan to kill Heather's parents, but tried to persuade Rod and Scott not to do it. And Dana Cooper tells police the same thing.
And you heard both of them with your own ears say, we're going to kill the parents?
I heard Rod say it. Scott just nodded his head and went with Rod. Me and Shay did try to convince them not to do it, but...
Not to do what?
Not to kill her parents.
What was your reaction to that?
They was like, well, there's no other way. It was like talking to a brick wall.
And then Scott admits his role in the killing.
So your intentions were to go up there and assist him in that?
Yes.
And how were you going to assist?
He was going to go after the father and I was going to go after the mother. But then, when I saw him make the first blow, I knew I couldn't.
Now, police try to find out if new cult initiate Heather knew Rod was going to murder her parents.
I remember telling him flat out, don't even go near my parents.
Why would you tell him not even to go near your parents?
Because he asked me not too long ago if I wanted my parents dead or alive, and I said straight out I wanted them alive.
Why did he have an obsession of killing your parents?
I don't know. Probably because he knows if he kills my parents, then I'd probably come to him. I probably wouldn't have anything to stay in Florida for.
Dana Cooper says Heather didn't even know Rod had murdered her parents until they were on their way to New Orleans.
When did Heather not know that her parents were dead?
Charity told her right as we was getting ready to leave Florida.
What was her reaction?
She started freaking out real bad.
But police keep the heat on Heather.
You chose to go with the man who killed your parents. We're trying to find out why.
You don't know how upset I am inside.
How did he keep you there?
He just told me that I didn't have a choice to go or stay.
Heather denies hating or being mistreated by her parents and is ultimately exonerated by a grand jury, which finds she was not aware of the plans to murder her mom and dad. Charity Kesey and Dana Cooper each plead guilty to a variety of lesser charges, which include knowing about Rod Ferrell's murder plans. Charity is sentenced to 10.5 years, while Dana gets 17.5 years. Both have since been released from prison. Scott Anderson pleads guilty to being a principal to first-degree murder and is sentenced to life without parole. And Rod Ferrell gets the max.
You are hereby sentenced to death.
But Rod almost welcomes it.
The concept of them killing me in the electric chair didn't really faze me. That's why when they announced my death sentence, I just kind of cocked an eyebrow. I was like, okay.
The sentence was later commuted to life without parole because Rod was just 16 and still a juvenile when he committed the murders. Then the U.S. Supreme Court declared life without parole unconstitutional for juveniles. And just last year, the state Supreme Court ruled that all juvenile killers with automatic life sentences must be resentenced.
Evidently, there's a very strong possibility that I'm going to have life without parole commuted to a term of years, if not time served.
Which means that after 20 years behind bars, Rod the vampire murderer could be a free man anytime now, and he already has his new life planned.
I have a house, I have a woman, I have a job waiting on me. I even have a cat and a dog waiting.
Which sends chills down the spine of Al Gusler.
He's going to still be the same Rod Ferrell.
We showed the retired detective an excerpt from Phil Chalmers' prison interview with Ferrell.
Nobody has to worry about me being the child monster I was.
Do you think you deserve a second chance?
I believe all children deserve a second chance. Actually, I believe everybody in life deserves a second chance.
He didn't give a second chance to the brutal murder of the mother and father. So, no. As far as I'm concerned, you can stay there for life.
What do you say to people that would say, when you get out, Rod, you're going to go right back into it and you'll be back here again?
I would tell them that's not the case.
If I lived in the area that he was getting out in, I'd definitely keep an eye on him.
It's both amazing and chilling to me, and I'm sure the victims' families, to think that these two could be back on the streets and living in your neighbourhood. We'll, of course, continue to follow the story, and you can see more of the interview with the vampire killer right now at our website. That's crimewatchdaily.com.